Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where today you join me in Ojai, California with the brand new 2026 Toyota C-HR. This funky subcompact SUV is back for the 2026 model year as an EV. And I think this makes sense for what this car has always tried to be, because it's been this little front-wheel drive thing with 144 horsepower and a CVT since it came out, but now it's back with two electric motors and 338 horsepower and 323 pound-feet of torque. It's got 287 miles of range in its base SE trim, like the one that's in front of us. And the most compelling thing about this, and the reason I'm featuring this on Topher Drives, you guys know that I don't do a lot of EVs, this one as tested today is $38,000. And if you remember, we just drove the Nissan Leaf, which I said is the cheapest EV on the market right now, which it is, but the one we drove was the top trim and it was over 40 grand. This has 338 horsepower. It still looks a bit funky and it's under $40,000. So today we're going to get some raw first impressions on this. We're going to drive it around Ojai and see what it's all about. I've only put about 2 miles on it so far, so these will be truly my raw first impressions. As I mentioned, this is the SE, starts at about $37,000. There is also an XSE trim that's a little bit over 40, but I opted for the base model because that's what we do here. They told me it was blue, which I don't really think it's blue. It looks more gray to me, but I like that they've kept this kind of weirdness with this car, but they've incorporated some of these new Toyota design language aspects, like the hammerhead front end. And I don't want to skip this while I'm over here. Here's the charge port. So this only has a NACS port, or in other words, the Tesla port. This is kind of what everything's getting now in 2026. This has a 74.7 kilowatt hour battery. It can charge from 10 to 80% in 30 minutes. So it does all the normal stuff that EVs do, but like I always say, you kind of have to stand out design-wise in 2026 if you're going to make an EV. And while the spec on this one isn't the most attractive, I think it's a pretty good representation of what most people are going to get and what is going to be sitting on most dealership lots. Now, the XSE that comes in this color called Tandoori, you get the big wheels, you get the black roof. That's striking, but this I think still looks good enough in its base SE trim, and you're able to get that 287 miles of range because you have these smaller wheels. These are just an 18-inch, but they are aluminum, though actually, now that I tap on them, I believe, yeah, this is an aero cover over it. And we have a Toyo Open Country HT, so a highway terrain tire. That's an interesting choice. And a 235/60R18, and of course, that is a squared setup. Nothing really fancy going on here. Otherwise, it's got fixed dampers. It's all just about looking a little bit funky and being able to go some distance. So let's poke around this thing. We'll show you what it looks like inside and out. And then we'll go for a drive and see what that's like. Okay, this is my literal first time opening the back of this. It's a little bit of a small opening, but the load surface seems to make some sense. We've got this dealer accessory little trunk mat in here, and under the floor, this comes up. There you go. A little bit more storage. Looks like we have a charger in here and a toolkit. What do we have on this? Oh, it's just health and safety warning messages. Okay, I want to get this back. Oh dear. I don't want this to be rattling the entire time, so let's get this back to where it's supposed to go. All right, nice. And I don't know, I mean, do you really need more than this? It's got a 60/40 split folding rear seat. And the product specialist this morning told us that he went bicycling a couple of weeks ago and he fit a full-sized mountain bike with the wheel on it with the seats folded down. So I guess it's got enough room in the back. Cool design element that they've kept are the C-pillar mounted door handles that the OG C-HR had. And I gotta say, my favorite thing about this new C-HR is the back door. I mean, look at this thing. Look at all of the lines, the angles, the curves to this. I think it's pretty cool looking. Again, you gotta have that design element and that excitement if you're gonna have an EV in 2026. And Toyota's kind of hitting the market with a couple of new ones, because prior to this, don't they only have the BZ? I feel like that's like kind of their only EV, but now they have this and the BZ Woodland, and then while we're here, they're revealing another EV that they haven't told us about yet. You guys will know about it by the time this video is out, but much exciting stuff. I like that we have some Alcantara here on this door panel. The SE trim gets this like leatherette material and cloth. So the inserts here, just very regular looking black cloth in this particular spec. We've got a fold down console with some cup holders, and I'm happy to report there is actually some room back here. The older C-HR, if I remember correctly, had a pretty small back seat. So this is fine here at 5'11", sat behind myself, and I've got plenty of headroom, even with a camera on my head. We've even got some vents right here, though we don't have our own climate control panel. We've got a couple USB-C ports and 2 seat back pockets. And since this is an EV, we don't have a drivetrain hump, which means I can sit in the middle, and my knees are a little bit in my face, but I think you could, in a pinch, get 3 adults back here, though it would be more comfortable with just 2, just because this is kind of a narrow middle seat, because it is kind of a compact oh dear. Child locks are on, and the car's off. How do you get the child lock off? Welcome to a first drive program where I lock myself in the back. Okay, good, this side's open. Okay, don't get in that side anymore. It's probably just one of, yeah, it's one of these guys here. I can turn that off here from the outside because I know I'm gonna do the winding road video and I'm gonna forget and I'm gonna end up back in it again. Okay, I wanna check what's under the front here, if it even has a frunk or anything, because I don't even know. They didn't talk about this, so I suspect it does not have a frunk, but we'll see what's under the hood. Right, no frunk. Okay, that is an electric motor. There you go. Regular battery there as well. Lots of room under here. I don't know if maybe a frunk could have fit on top, but here you go. In the SE trim, at least, no frunk. And no hood struts, but I feel like that's not really a big deal on an EV. So this car is actually sold in Europe as the C-HR Plus because Europe continued the C-HR into a second generation, but in the US they just killed it and now they've brought it back as this. So technically in the US this is the second gen C-HR, but in Europe it's kind of off to the side. Bug Eye Sprite. Lots of good car spotting opportunities out here. In Europe it's kind of off to the side as a separate model, so if that makes sense. Black badging on the back, and these black wheels I think are your only choice on the SE trim. Let's jump in, start it up, and go for a drive. More Alcantara here on the front door panel, and I love to see that these match, even though they're subtle. You know, it's mostly this scratchy black plastic. We still have this Alcantara on both. Front seats look about the same as the back. The SE gets a manual passenger seat, but we have a full power driver's seat with lumbar adjust, so that's quite nice. Seems to be reasonably quiet inside this cabin. Start it up. Normal Toyota bings and bongs, and we kind of just have like the Prius interior going on here, or Toyota BZ. We have this little baby steering wheel that sits below the 7-inch gauge cluster, and then we have this massive flat screen TV bolted to the dashboard style infotainment screen that has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I've got my phone paired to that right now, as you can see, and the beeps are turned on as well. But navigation also standard in this infotainment, and we have this, I don't even know how you explain this material. It's almost like someone crossed a wetsuit with bamboo and made this material here on the dashboard. But otherwise, I mean, everything in here, it's kind of just all very plain looking. There's lots of scratchy plastic. You've got this kind of metallic gray here by our shifter, but there are 2 wireless chargers, which I do appreciate. I've got my phone on this right now doing its charging. I don't know. I like the design elements here in this interior, but I wish maybe even on the SE trim we would get a little bit more color variety. We have material variety, but everything is finished in black. No panoramic roof on this. You have to get the XSE to get that, though you do have a map light there in the back. And this is a pre-production vehicle, so keep that in mind as we go on our drive today. But I think these are pretty dialed in for production status. This one's got 583 miles on it. You can see we have a 90% charge right now. That's indicating 238 miles of range. To reiterate, we have 287 miles of range as our EPA estimate. If you go up to the XSE, it takes a little bit of a hit because it's got 20-inch wheels and it's somewhere in the 270s. Center console is wrapped in this, like, I don't know, pleather material, I guess, similar to what you get on the edges of the seats. not super cozy for elbows. It's a little bit hard, and the surface over here is a little bit better on the Alcantara, but it's also kind of hard underneath. But anyway, once you open this up, which you do from the side, you can see it fits my hat. We've got the key and a microfiber in there as well. Decently deep, but would maybe like to see a slightly larger center console. Actually, look at that. It opens from both sides. That's quite nice. When I got in here, I was feeling around the front trying to get it to open. And then we've got two cup holders right here, which do sit pretty low, but I think if you had a big drink in here, like a big dumb cup, I don't know how you'd be able to shift the car because like Emily's cup would probably stick up to here. And if we both had them, I'd have to like reach over and shift. So interesting choice there for the cup holders. But otherwise, as far as places to put things, you've got more storage space here under this console that kind of floats a little bit. And then you've got room for big bottles in the doors as well. So I guess you could argue that if you have something that's super tall, you put it in a door panel pocket. And if you have a short drink, you can put it here. But I think even a short drink, if you had a straw, I don't know. I think any sort of drinks right here are gonna block you from shifting the car. This infotainment screen works the same as anything else in a Toyota. We've got a volume knob in the middle and an unbranded sound system. You get a JBL if you go for the XSE, but this is the base, and you know we will be testing this out today to see what it sounds like. We've got these vents here in the middle. I guess these are placed okay. They're a little bit low. And then this other one over here to the left of the steering wheel. We've got headlight washers because this has the $100 optional cold weather package. And actually, here's our Monroney right here. You can see starting price $37,100 with the cold weather package, and destination, this one comes out to $38,550, and we will have all this in the description for you as well. They call this exterior color Overcast. And actually, real quick, before we set off on our drive, I snuck back over to the hotel and grabbed one of these Tandoori XSE models I was telling you guys about, just because I want to show you what's different and what you get for about $4,000 more if you do decide to go for the top trim. So first and foremost, you have larger wheels, and these are actually on a different tire, a Yokohama Geolandar XCV G057E+, which sounds like the name of an old Chinese car, but these are in 235/50 R20, so a little bit less range with this car, about 270-ish miles, but you do look cooler, I suppose, with more street cred. And as I mentioned, this is Tandoori. It's got the black top, so on the outside it does look quite a bit different altogether, but I don't know that I really prefer this over the simplicity of the SE. The differences continue inside. If we go into the back here, you can see not only do you have the Alcantara on the door, you also have it on the middle of the seats. And if we step back here, you can see that these rear seats are heated. No climate panel back here, so that's the same. And if you look up, we have that panoramic roof that I told you about. And then if we step up front, just a couple more differences here in this XSE, chief of which is the JBL sound system. We've got the tweeters here and then a subwoofer in the back. And then we also have the 360 camera. When you go into reverse, you can see that pops up there on the left. Otherwise, things in here seem to be pretty much the same. The door panels, the dashboard, all of that, the headliner seems to be identical to the SE. So you don't really get a whole lot more in this. And looking at our spec sheet here, you can see a lot of the things I just mentioned are options, but we have a $43,000 total MSRP on this. So it's about $5,000 more than the SE that we're about to drive in the video. Let's get this out on the road. I'm actually going to set a destination. And actually, why don't we try out this in-house navigation and see if it can get us to the park that I want to end today's video at. Denison Park.
I found 4 results. The first is Denison Park at Santa Paula Ojai Road. Would you like to go to that one?
Yes.
Calculating route to Denison Park.
Why is it showing me things in Ohio?
Proceed to the highlighted route.
Okay, we need to turn her off though. There you go. Okay. When you go into reverse, there's no surround view monitor or whatever Toyota calls their 360 camera. We've got a pretty high quality backup camera, and like an old Prius, it beeps at you in reverse. But it's more pleasant than the old Prius was. I took driver's ed in a second gen Prius, so I'm very used to the Toyota electric backup sound inside the car, because they have to let you know you're in reverse when you're driving, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, let's get this out on the road and see what it's like to drive. Now, I haven't floored this yet, but I suspect because it's an EV, it's going to be really quick. Oh my, okay. Yep. Dude, EVs are so funny because it's something so unsuspecting. Like, this is a Toyota C-HR with like little wheels off the bottom of a grand piano, and it just, I don't know, it's so funny to get in this and floor it and just have it rip your face off. Toyota claims 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds. I think the old one was over 10. It had 144 horsepower was what the old C-HR had. So less than half of this. So granted, it weighed less and it was front wheel drive. This weighs, I don't have an exact figure yet, but going off of the European model, which is front wheel drive, that weighs just over 4,000 pounds. So if I had to guess, I would say this is probably in the neighborhood of 4,400 to 4,500 pounds. But hey, having that instant 338 horsepower, 323 pound-feet of torque, you feel it. But anyway, just from like a regular driving perspective, because I think a lot of people are just going to be driving this regularly, it seems to be quite nice. And I know this whole interior setup gets some hate from people that drive the new Prius or the Toyota BZ4X. But I quite like it. I feel like it feels like a little bit of a space pod sort of thing. Like, you just feel like you're in the car because you are in the car, but at the same time, it just feels like the car is kind of wrapped around you in a very intimate way. I've got these paddle shifters here on the steering wheel that adjusts your Regen braking. Cool old Ford Galaxy and a WRX and an E30. Every time I come to California, my videos are just me car spotting the whole time. Yeah, even on this Toyo open country, what is that? Somebody's gonna have to tell me what that is. Looks like the car out of Stuart Little. I've never seen that before. Don't know, but up here we have a 57 Chevy. 4-door. It must be so nice to live in a place like this because you could just drive a 57 Chevy year-round and like street park it, and it's fine. Anyway, ride quality here seems to be nice, but this is one of the smoothest roads I've ever been on, so it's a little bit hard to judge, though based off of the ground clearance and also the thick sidewall on this, I would say that you're going to be in pretty good shape for being comfortable while driving your C-HR. Seat comfort seems to be nice too. Lumbar support goes in and out. It does not go up and down, but it goes out pretty far. Seating position in here seems to be okay too. I've got the seat all the way down. Steering wheel's up a bit just for the sake of the video, but I can still see out this windshield quite well. So we've got an eco drive mode and normal. I don't think we have a sport mode in here. I don't see any way to do that unless we have to go into the car menu. Obviously, this is all-wheel drive because it's got 2 electric motors. I don't know. No sport mode that I see, so that's that. But we'll leave it in normal, and we'll gas it one more time here. Gas it. Is gas it the correct word since we're not in an ICE car? Let's see what it's like from like 25 to 50. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's no reason to have more power than this ever, I don't think, in something that you're going to daily drive. I mean, this would like absolutely annihilate hot compacts. Like if you're drag racing like an Elantra N or even a GR Corolla, I think this would beat. That's quite fun. Obviously, there's no drama really to anything. The front wheels spin a bit and the front end lifts up, but I don't know. Every EV kind of just does this in the same way, and it's fun for like sometimes, you know, if you're just daily driving this around and you're going from light to light, but you're never going to have as much fun in this as you would a GR Corolla or an Elantra N, obviously. But this is very quiet. This road surface, I think, is like speckled, so it's a little bit loud. But hey, look at this twisty coming up. We'll be able to see what this is actually like in a little bit more of a performance setting. Steering is super light, and the steering wheel itself is pretty small, so the car feels pretty darty. There's quite a lot of body roll going on here, but it is what it is. All right, let's get this into some twisties and see how it behaves. We've got another C-HR hot on our tail right now. Check this out. Wow, what a road this is. Actually feels decently planted here. Little bit of complaining here from these Toyo open countries, and that's it. We've got a red light. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good job, I suppose. Oh, I see why this is a one-way, because one of the lanes is closed. Okay. Or why there's a red light there. That makes sense. Got some construction going on. Anyway, though, you can hustle this thing. That's what's always like the most fun about cars like this. Like I always think back to the Honda HR-V event that I did in Washington State, and we drove on a road very similar to this, and it was so fun to hustle that Honda HR-V, even though it really had no business being hustled. But this doesn't really feel as heavy as it is. I mean, sure, it pushes a little bit. This is not a performance tire, and that's not really what this car is made for, but it's important to me to be able to exist in a car like this, up on a road like this, and be able to hustle a little bit and like have a little bit of confidence. I think we'll turn around up here and we'll go back down, because one of the best things about doing canyons in an EV is you can use the downhills for regen braking. All right, let's get this pulled into Denison Park, and then we're going to go back down and do that road one more time, because that was quite fun. And we'll test our turning circle here as well. Yeah, all good. I don't mind a small steering wheel. It doesn't bother me one bit. And while there's no traffic, let's get this off the line. Scrambling for grip there. There go our route books onto the floor. Look at this view now. All right, we've got our Regen in its full capacity. And that's what's so nice about this, is I can kind of coast this without having to ride the brakes. Give it a dab of brakes here for this corner. Yeah, this is like impressively agile for what it is. I know it's a small car, but EVs are heavy, man. Stop. Inputs here are pretty nice. No weird jolts with initial throttle tip-in or anything weird like that. Regen braking feels pretty good, but when you have to push through that and get onto the actual brakes, those feel all right as well. No complaints there. No weird like EV. Well, I guess the brakes do feel a little bit artificial. I haven't had to push through them a ton, and remember, these are my first impressions, so we're kind of learning this car together right now. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful old Ford. This car is fast, like straight up. Like, I know we're going downhill, but coming out of a corner there, like, did you guys ever think we'd see the day where we're calling a Toyota C-HR fast? Now, do I think that there's anything really extravagant about this car? I don't really think so, but I don't think it has to be. I think with this being a BEV, just having this kind of like funky exterior design, it's quick enough. Everything in here seems to work okay, though this console is a little bit hard and I'm resting my leg on it. It's a little bit uncomfortable. So this kind of intrudes on the driver's footwell a bit. I don't super love that. And then this whole design of the steering wheel, the cluster, the way this is set up, I could see how you wouldn't like that as well. So you have to be used to this whole sort of setup. And this is just kind of the way that Toyota's going with a lot of their EVs and hybrids, or actually all of their BEVs, and then the Prius is like this too. But I like how agile this car feels. I like how quiet it is inside. I like how nice it rides. I don't know that the buyer is the same for the old C-HR that it is this one, because this is like the sport BEV in Toyota's lineup, and I don't think anyone that drove a previous generation C-HR even knows what the word sport means. Like I don't think that person is concerned about sporty driving at all. So I think they're going after a new market here with this new C-HR, and that's okay. I don't think that they have to be reaching those old buyers, because those people are all just driving Nissan Kicks now or something. So, or they're still driving their old Toyota C-HR because it's still running and it'll run forever. Oh my goodness, is that a Model T? This is something you would just never see casually in Michigan. Like, that was like a Model T, like I see an old air-cooled 911 and it doesn't even faze me, but I see an old Model T like that. It was like a Model T delivery van. And then as far as this Regen braking goes, I've got this in its maximum setting right now. Won't take you to a complete stop, but it'll get pretty dang close. And we'll be able to demonstrate that as this truck pulls out here. Take my foot off the accelerator. Slows you down in a pretty normal and easy to adapt with rate. I mean, this is pretty close to a one-pedal drive system. It gets you down to like 5 miles an hour, and then you've got to do just the last little bit yourself, which doesn't really bother me all that much. So we'll get here, you can see it gets me down to 4, 3, and then I'm doing the rest of the stop down to 0. So easy to learn, easy to adapt, and yeah, no real complaints. Obviously, I would like to see something that would do complete one-pedal driving, but as far as I can tell, there's no one-pedal driving at all. Anyway, though, let's maybe pull this into a parking lot and see maneuverability, see if we can get this easily into a spot with the camera, because that's important, you know, for daily driving activities. And I'm sure we'll get one of these back home at the HQ in Michigan. We'll be able to evaluate some more of its kind of living with factors. But under first impressions, I mean, this is a nice product. There's really only so much you can do with an EV. I know we've said that a handful of times now in this video, and that's why I don't review a lot of EVs, because to me they are kind of all just the same. But they are getting better. All of them are. And this is a step in the right direction for Toyota, because let's be honest, their first effort with the BZ4X, not great. Not a lot of range, and it just wasn't a great car overall. This is basically a smaller, faster, more agile, better put together BZ4X. And it looks cooler from the outside. So, if you were worried about Toyota's first generation of EVs, give their second generation here a chance, because this does feel like a proper electric vehicle that belongs on the market in 2026. All right, let's get this pulled in here. There's a bank that I want to go to, and we'll get this pulled into a parking spot and see what maneuverability is like there. I suspect it's going to be fine. Visibility out of this, other than just out the front, is pretty good. I can see what I need out of the side mirrors, including the cool design elements on the back doors. And then out the back window, it's a little small. I would maybe like to see a camera rearview mirror. All right, let's pull this in here. We'll put it in a parking spot, and then we'll go back to the park we started at. And on the way there, we'll do a sound system test. Look at this, though. Ground clearance, no problem. And we'll take this little speed bump. Also no problem. And we'll back this in here right next to this Tesla. Also be a good size comparison for you guys to see next to a Model Y. So this shifter is like what you see in the BZ. Only thing I'm missing is that surround view monitor. Would, of course, love to have one of those here, but you just got to go for the XSE if you want that. Parking brake lives right here, but it does automatically apply when you put this into park with the park button right there. So let's see how this is here in a spot. Got plenty of room to open my door here. Yeah, I mean, it just looks like a very normal sized vehicle. Yeah, fits in a spot, no problem. It's weird, these parking blocks are like offset. Don't know what that's about. Got these built-in roof rails. You can put a rack on this, which is cool to see. All right, I'm gonna get a sound system test queued up and we'll head back to where we started. Not a bad sound system, but I mean, this is base level, so it's not super impressive. But I would say for what it is, it could be worse, I guess you could say. It's definitely no JBL like you get in the XSE, but whatever. I would rather review the car that's going to be bought more. So there you go. That's been the base model 2026 Toyota C-HR, which has returned as an EV. How about that? So let's get this parked back up, similar to where we had it before. I'll give you one last look at this thing, and that'll be it. Let me know if you guys have any questions. But I'm going to spend a little bit more time in this. There will be a no talking video over on the Winding Road Magazine YouTube channel. But overall, first impressions seem to be nice, and Toyota has finally made an EV that seems like it belongs in the market. I know that the BZ dropped the 4X name off of the BZ, and the BZ got some meaningful updates last year, but it seems like that's going to be the norm going forward now with these new Toyota EVs. So let's show you this one last time. You know what's funny is I'm pretty sure the last C-HR that I drove, which was in like 2021 or something, it was gray with black wheels. It looked just like this. I'll try and find a picture of it. But there you go. The new and now somehow kind of exciting and fast 2026 Toyota C-HR. And actually what I really like about this is no matter if you get the SE or the XSE, the powertrain is still the same. So this might be the way to go. You know, under 40 grand, almost 300 miles of range. Would have been cool maybe to see over 300, especially in the SE with the smaller wheels. But this is just the first model year. We may see some front-wheel drive, longer range models here in the future. But as far as this goes now, these are your two choices. And I'm pretty happy with this. So again, let me know if you guys have any questions, or of course leave any sort of comments that you would like. But that will be it for me today in the 2026 Toyota C-HR SE. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. And if you guys decided to stick around till the very end of the video, we've got a treat for you. We're going to do a very brief sound system test here on this 8-speaker JBL as we head back to the hotel. So we'll see what the difference is over the base system. honestly quite a bit better than the base. And from what I have gathered, I think the only real differences are the tweeters here on the A-pillars, and then you've got that sub in the back. Otherwise, I'm sure like the door speakers are the same on this, but super good sound system. And I would say, geez, it's tough to say if it's worth getting the XSE for the JBL. I got to look in and see if you can spec the JBL on the SE. Probably not. But if you want to spend the extra 5-ish grand and get everything you see here over the SE that we were driving for the majority of this video, here you go. Here it is. Otherwise, it drives exactly the same. As I mentioned, same powertrain. And I mean, it feels identical. So that's going to be the real end of the video. Thank you guys again all so much for watching. And we'll see you next time. Take care.